Welcome to another Schmoopydady Meta Guide. I'm your host, as per usual, Schmoopydady. In case it's the first time you're watching one of these guides, I'm a monthly Hearthstone Wild Legend player who typically hits Legend first of the month, and after that I goof off, and when I goof off I play viewer decks. But I occasionally do these videos where we look at what is the best deck in the meta, what's going on in the meta, and what has changed. I've delayed making one of these videos, I've backpedaled, I've let the mini set play out, and I wanted to see what the balance patch was going to be. Turns out the balance patch was just going to be, let's give an irrelevant card in Wild +1/+1. Nutty. So basically nothing has changed. So along these lines, let me tell a little bit of a story of what I'm expecting to see. If we go on over to HS Guru, my settings right now, as you can see, are the past 2 weeks Wild, and I'm going with Diamond through Legend just to get like a general idea of like nuts and bolts, top to bottom on the ladder. What is it kind of looking like? The two most popular decks, and I think that probably two of the decks you would say, like the average person would say, oh, these are your best decks in the format: Egg Warlock and Pirate Burnlock. It's interesting that Donkey has begun to differentiate between Pirate Burnlock and Burnlock. As we will talk about a little bit later, Pirate Burnlock looks to be far and away the better version of the deck, which is pretty fun. So, just I said we would completely change how we end up making Burnlock, and sure enough, we've built it more around the weapon and more towards Swarm. If we look at Diamond 4 through 1, Egg Warlock's at the top with Broxigar on a small sample size sort of coming in second. You see Seedlock doing really well. I don't particularly believe in Seedlock right now, since I think that Seedlock is benefiting from Burnlock being so popular. Burnlock is not as popular as it was when I made my Burnlock video last week, where I'm looking at like, oh man, it's 20% of the meta, it's 15% of the meta. It's not anywhere close to that. It's I think in total more like 9 10, but it's just something to keep in mind. I think Seedlock is out there, and it's a good counter to Burnlock, so we're seeing more of it, and it's getting a little bit of a purple patch, but I don't have a good build that I believe in. If we look at a little higher up, just like Legend in general, Egg Warlock near the top, Pirate Burnlock is doing very well. Top 5K narrows it down a little more. Now you see Nazmani Priest, which I've been saying for many reports now, is up there with one of the best decks in the format. Funny thing about Nazmani Priest is people got bored. People have stopped playing it. It's still effective. It's still useful. It's just not terribly interesting, so people are not playing it. Broxigar up there. You'll notice very nicely my druids, my sort of combo druids, are all sort of like lumped together with Dungar and Champions Druid and XL Champions Druid. I've got a list for each of these builds. They all sort of fill the same niche. Damage off board. Sometimes they get aggroed down, but they can be hard to disrupt, and they don't really care about 2020s because they go over the top of 2020s. Barnes Druid is probably the best of the bunch of these, if specifically you have nothing but Egg Warlock hatred in your heart. But the problem with Barnes Druid is it folds to, hyper aggro, which Burnlock is sort of filling right now. Top 1K, Nazmani Priest, Egg Warlock. Insert Highlander Hunter, not that randomly, because Highlander Hunter I think is one of the few Reno decks that actually can handle Egg Warlock. It's got solutions to the boards. It's got an early Starfish to slow them down. It's got Acid Maw. It's got stuff like Wound Prey. I'm not going to be featuring a Highlander Hunter deck tonight, but don't you worry. The one that I showcased with Jock Keener, if you want to go pull that code from that video, from that description, that works very well. That still farms Egg Warlock as long as you find your pieces on time. So now that we've just sort of taken a look at the HS Guru data and gotten an idea of what I'm looking at when I'm looking at the meta, I'll bring my face cam back and we'll talk some decks. All right? If you want to climb fast and you don't want to think too hard, I think Egg Warlock is your deck for you. It's good into anything that's aggro and board-based, anything that's attempting to fight for board. This pretty much smokes it. You just got to worry about the occasional transformation effect, which it's really easy to play around because, you can play your egg and then you can play one of your ways to kill your egg, and now it's going to be in the habeas corpses pool, and then you just bring it back whenever you're available to drop the Umbra, and it's fine. The flex cards in this list seem to be Tour Guide, Tamsin's Phylactery, Habeas is okay, Raised Dead does not look great, Defile is like, eh. So I'm just going to keep going with Elemental's list because she's played it way more than I have, and she's gone a lot higher than any other Egg Warlock player I know, so follow her lead. She knows what's best so far. Nazmani Priest, unchanged, really. This is a version that Corbett posted in his Discord. I don't know if that's the same as Gamer Moments or not, but here's that deck. That game plan has not changed. Drop a Nazmani Bloodweaver, copy it. The discounts from the Nazmani Bloodweaver eventually will be applied to light speed, which you throw on top of a Stone Tusk Boar, and as long as everything costs 0 in your hand, when the light speed comes back, it discounts again over and over and over and over again. One of the candidates that I would have nerfed in the format personally, these two. KVLT's Mally Druid. We talked through some, we played against the Innkeeper, and we talked through some combo turns with this list last week, so check that out if you're interested in learning how to play Mally Druid. I think this is the better. I think Mally Druid, my opinion on the combo druids is the fastest is Barnes, which makes it favored automatically into everything else. The second fastest is going to be the Champions Druids, because you can always just do like Barnes into ANR or Barnes into Ysayle and just sort of pop off and do crazy stuff and win. I also think as far as fastest goes, ease of play goes. This will make some people mad, but I think Champions Druid is actually easier to play than something like Mally Druid or Barnes Druid, because I feel like, or not as easy. Barnes Druid is way easier to play. Scratch that. But it's easier to play than Mally Druid, because Mally Druid very specifically needs certain cards to pop off. And then once you're in the combo turns get a little bit of hairy. Versus Champions Druid, which I'll pull up now. Here's an XL version from Hijo. Champions Druid ends up kind of like, how do I describe it? Champions Druid, you can kind of find your way around in the dark, and you'll eventually find a scam. Even if you don't necessarily always get the hit you need off of Champions of Azeroth, you can produce a ton of tempo all at once and dump it and just sort of win the game and be like, ha! And it's easier to do that with Champions Druid than I think it is with Mally Druid. Whereas Mally Druid really is going all in on the combo and spell damage from hand. There are some matchups you can win with Champions Druid that, you just out-tempo them. 30 Champions Druid is even faster. It's like Barnes type fast, but it's not quite as fast as like pure Barnes Druid, for which I got Poet's List. I like Poet's List. Two Vates is interesting. They're keeping the Capture Cold Tooth Mine technology. We only need one Funnel Cake, which I think is an interesting call from them, but I don't hate anything from here. No gifts, so they're really going in on, okay, you better find your burn, and you better find your magical dollhouse if you're going to go over the top. We've played Barnes Druid on the stream a fair amount. But just to like sort of just polish off the Champions Druid for a second. As far as disruption goes, easiest to disrupt would be the Barnes Druid. I think second easiest to disrupt is kind of the Champions Druid. It can kind of lose to itself. It's less consistent than the Malygos deck. And the Malygos deck is also really hard to disrupt. You can lose Dungar and be fine. You can lose ANR and be fine. You can lose Aviana and be fine. You can kind of lose Malygos and be fine. You could just play like it's a Barnes Druid deck and just sort of pop off, or you can shatter some ANRs. It's a really flexible deck. It's hard to like separate all of the combo Druid decks because they're all sort of vibing on a similar package and then making different decisions here and there. All of them work. All of them look solid. Give them a try, find your favorite flavor, and go with it. If you want to be super Chinese, you can play a version that has like Cthulhu the Shattered in it and go nuts. That's fine too. One of the other best decks in the format that keeps popping up, you'll notice, Broxigar DH. Filtrefo made this adjustment last time he was streaming. He used to have Glide in this list and put in an Illidari Studies. There's a couple cards missing that I know chat's going to be like, oh my god, how can you do this? There's no Zephrys the Great. There's no Projectionist. Okay. We don't need these cards for this deck to win. The advantage of Broxigar DH over the Fatigue DH, the one thing I will give it that I think makes it better, at doing a thing, is getting your Ironbound Brutes and your Vengeful Wallopers down on turn 3 or 4 behind a 0 mana burn. It's trying to be as smooth as possible in getting to your pop-off turn and then defending your pop-off turn with a mana burn. You're not running any 4-mana bricks. You're not running Glaive Tars. You're not running Arana. You're not running anything that's huge that's just sort of sitting in your hand clogging up an outcast spot. Just go. Just go and play the purest stat dump version of the deck. If you're relying on Broxigar or Zephrys the Great for a Bloodlust from Patches the Pilot tokens for lethal, I think you're missing the entire point of the deck. The deck doesn't need Zephrys. What's even crazier is people keep cutting Sigil of Time for reasons. Just think of Sigil of Time. Think of Sigil of Time almost as if it's like Oaken Summons. Oaken Summons, one copy of it was so good, you ran 2 copies. Sigil of Time, literally one of the best cards you can have in the mulligan. You run 2 copies. The cards you're looking for when you're mulliganing for this, typically, you're looking for Paraglide if you can get into the Outcast slot, and you're looking for Sigil of Time to coin it out if you can. If you can coin this out, the game basically ends. So this is Filterphobe's take, nice and low to the ground. The best version of Burnlock seems to be the Pirate version. This is Corb's version that he cooked up. What I like about this version that I haven't liked in the past, when you have a board of Treasure Distributor and Parachute Brigand and Patches, and they all attack, you can get a Devious Coyote down on turn 2. These things are not feeling, the Devious Coyotes are not feeling as bricky in this version of the deck. And I don't feel like I need to be as greedy with my merchants into Soul Barrage because the weapon is so much damage. You do lose to Arena sometimes. You do definitely lose more in the grindy matchups versus like the Death Rattle version, which has a little bit more gas. You can be a little bit more tactical with when you trigger your chambers or how you manage your Soul Fires. This is a little bit all in aggro face. Let's go. The Neophyte is card number 30. Plug in tech card of your choice that doesn't fuck up the 5-drop spot. You know, you might, if you really hate mages, maybe it's Ashen Elemental, but you really don't need it because this deck kind of kicks the shit out of mage, whether you have the Ice Block tech or not. You know, maybe it's Starfish because you really hate eggs. I think eggs are a lost cause anyway, but Starfish would be fine in this deck. It's a good Starfish meta. I've liked the Cold Neophyte because one of the things that it's really done nicely for me is it's when I have it and play it at the right time, it basically cancels out the Astral Communion turn. Before they cast Astral Communion, if you drop a Cult Neophyte down in front of a couple pirates, it's functionally time walking them. And the thing is about Astral Communion is it already is taking a turn off to cast Astral Communion. There's a chance you can even survive the turn after that. So time walking them 2 turns with Cult Neophyte, and then they have to play the Astral turn, and you're just like piling on the damage, that can kind of seal that up. So I've built this deck, and I played it on EU up to D5. I'm going to try and hit Legend with it tonight. That's a good option. I've climbed with Treant Druid a ton. Does it feel the best right now? No, it's kind of settled into like a high tier 2 deck. High mid tier 2 deck versus like a tier 1 deck like it was kind of looking. But, you know, when we were looking at it at low sample size, you had some really talented pilots at the highest level piloting this deck optimally, and the percentages have kind of knocked it down slowly but surely. Do I still think it's a good deck? Oh yeah, it's a great deck. It's great. It's a great for the amount of dust that you spend on it. I would still recommend playing it on my free-to-play accounts right now. This is one of the decks in my rotation. I finally got to trying Hijo's Pirate DH on one of my free-to-play accounts, and I really like it. I love... have I missed Kurtrus yet? No, not at all. I love that there's always a little bit of draw, whether it's the quick picks, whether it's the magnifying glaives. You're always got a little bit of draw and a little bit of draw and a little bit of draw, and it doesn't feel like it gasses out as often as Pirate DH decks in the past. I've had people ask about, well, what about Swarmy Ziliax? Swarmy Ziliax sucks. I don't know why anybody tries to fit Swarmy Ziliax in a deck at all, unless it's that Discover Hunter deck in Standard, where you're running the 3-mana 3/3, where if your minion costs 1, it doubles its stats. That's the only deck I can think of that reasonably would even consider running Ziliax. Ziliax sucks. South Sea Captain has always been a better Ziliax, and I've always advocated for a South Sea Captain, and it's nice to see that he's popping in here. At a certain point, it just comes down to your tokens and how much burn you can attach to your tokens. So get your Fields of Strifes up and go nuts. This is also a fun deck, Zach's ZTA Paladin. It's Call to Arms Paladin, but with the added little wrinkle of we're doing the aura stuff. We are saying bye-bye to Weblords. We are saying hello to Acceleration Auras, getting our card Call to Arms down early. This deck has done really well at some of the highest levels of competition. Basically, no one's playing it. The one thing that's a little spooky about this deck is it doesn't do well into Egglock. Luckily, the population of Egglock isn't really that large, so if you're okay with losing to Egglock once in a while and beating the shit out of everything else, ZTA might be your option. Last but not least, something fun and new that kind of popped up. We finally got Battle for the End of Time to actually fit in a deck, and that is here with Plot Twist in Reno Lock. Reno Lock is one of the few decks where it looks like when you added the quest, the deck actually improved by a couple percentage points. I think in part that's because we start cutting shit like Nosferatu that has been dog-ass horrible forever, and we've just sort of played it because it was a Reno Lock card, and we just sort of mindlessly stuck it in our decks. Kind of like Hunter and Zehi for a hot minute. Like, the whole purpose for playing Zehi and Reno Hunter kind of lost the plot a little bit when we took Reno Lone Ranger and set it to 8. Now Zehi's not really delaying the Reno Lone Ranger term that often. And we don't need to run Zehi anymore. Ditto here. Like, we've just got like some like fun ways to just sort of disrupt the opponent. We can complete the quest. We can blow the quest up. We can eventually win through Sargeras pressure or just tempo and stuff. We've got Tome Tampering, so we've got a bunch of cheap stuff. I don't know. This deck's fun and feels pretty good. I got this one requested to me was requested by me for me to play by Tom Carter. Holy crap, I was having trouble getting that out. Okay. I do have to show one last funny thing before we go, though. One last funny thing before we go. I got so many DMs from people that were like, Schmoopy, but Schmoopy, you need to see this. This is busted. They put TikTok. They put the Battle for the End of Time in Egg Warlock, and it's so good. It's so busted. Okay. Let's check some win rates for a hot minute. Let's start with Diamond 1 through 4. All right, still too many. Oh. Here we go. Egg Warlock without the quest. Egg Warlock without the quest. Egg Warlock without the quest. Without the quest. Without the quest. Without the quest. Oh, first one with the quest. Ooh, it's lower than the others. Maybe that's skill issue. Let's go up to Legend. Yeah. Legend. Oh. Egg Warlock. Let's do like minimum 400 so that we're not completely spamming. Egg Warlock. The quest is lower. Huh. Schmoopy, it's unbeatable. We added the quest. It can't even lose to Hostage Mage now. All right, let's do top 5. Oh, it's lower. Top 1K. It's a top 1K tech. Oh, it's lower. On average, adding the quest to Egglock knocks off your win rate about 5 to 6 percentage points. Stop putting the quest in Egglock. Egglock does best doing Egglock stuff. and just trying to do the big, dumb, early board. Don't complicate it with a half-assed gameplay against slow decks that will probably beat you statistically anyway, even if you delete their hand. It's just shitty Egg Warlock. Anyway, if you enjoy this content, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing on my YouTube channel.